Welcome to Königssee in Bavaria. Down below, the oldest artificially iced track in the planet is the lake that gives it its name, the Royal Lake, the Königssee. And above us is Stein, which gives its name to one of the corners on the track. Hello, everybody. Ready for the start of the first of our two heats, round 3 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Martin Haven, and alongside me, John Morgan, at a track that they first raced on in 1968, and they are still trying to perfect.
Great tradition here in Königssee, really the home of the German sliding sports in Bavaria, and it's a very tough track because it's such a luge-oriented track. And the first straightaway here is so important for all of the energy to go straight. No variance, and this bump right here in that first curve, that can change a lot of your acceleration speed. Then they have this 4 S's they call the Schallengrube, which is called snake pit. 4 S's, really difficult. And then you have to exit with a clean effect down to a chicane that, boy, you're gonna hit 2 or 3 times here, like you hear the sled right there. And now they go into the turbodrome, one of those chrysals, 280-degree whip around, and it's tight, and you slingshot effect into the labyrinth, you hope. And boy, some problems can happen there in the labyrinth. And then the bottom part of the track, Echo Von, a lot of pressure in the finish curve. You go uphill, so no mistakes allowed as you're going uphill. We saw the skeleton race a lot of time be erased down here as you go into the finish. Doesn't take long to get down this track, but boy, is it difficult to get down fast.
Start record and track record from January's race last year, set by Elana Meyers and Garrett. That week alone, Sherelle was dumped on her head 3 times with Elana Meyers. Elana is back home in the US. She's not racing this weekend. Jamie Grubel-Poser and Kaylee Humphries, a win and a third apiece. There are World Cup points leaders ahead of Alpha Willemsen, who's been on the podium in the first race of the season. Elana Meyers-Taylor took the silver last time out in Winterberg. And 2 races, 2 different winners. We could perhaps have a 3rd different winner here this season. And there's Jamie Grubel-Poser, Christian, her husband, being sent home. There's Melissa Lottholz, who breaks for Kaylee Humphries. Lauren Gibbs on the back of the sled this weekend, back in action after resting up last weekend. And Anja Schneiderheinze, well, she is the big German hope for victory here. But Germany have got a new girl in the lineup as well. So 3 German sleds. Misha McNeil returns for Great Britain. And in the back of the Romanian sled is Andrea Greco. Andrea there, the brake woman. Last weekend she was driving a spur bob. She started to drive. Anne van Nieuwenhuis, new sled for her and the Belgian team. Both Belgians have got new sleds this season. So here's our start draw. We have 11 sleds, including a 3rd German. Our rookie, Mariama Yamanka, goes off first. In at the deep end, and they took away her life vest. Misha McNeil and Natalie Durat, who has transferred over from Team USA to Team GB. They will be the last of our 11 sleds. So on the right-hand side, you can see the track that comes from the luge start further back up the hill, but right dead ahead of us, front and center. Crunch time, Mariama Yamanka from Germany, an Oberhof slider, former hammer thrower, makes her World Cup debut with the experienced Franziska Bertels, who got her brakes starting on brakes with Sandra Kiriasis. So first time in a World Cup for Mariama Yamanka, and she is our crash test dummy.
Yeah, Christoph Langen says he likes his new German women's program. He's got 11 sleds, 11 women's teams at the German championships coming up at Christmas time. And obviously, the Germans are starting to finally figure out that they better get some good athletes in the front seat driving to start chasing down the Americans who have the superior start times.
Well, for so many years, they've had such a strong lineup, and now, oh, as Yamanka slides down the straight, now that most of their experienced sliders have gone, time for the youth to come in and step up.
Keep the idea on the speeds there on the left. You can see the G-forces, now the exit. Down this track a lot. That's pretty good right there. Echo Von coming up.
Big corner here, but John, you think that's the last corner. There's 3 more turns to go, and you just climb uphill. And if you make a mistake in Echo, you just never make it to the line almost.
51.50, so that's about a full second and a quarter. Second 2200's off the track record, but it's a World Cup rookie. You know, Kaylee Humphreys might be a second better, but this is young. Look at the size of her legs, too.
25-year-old. Well, it's that explosive power from the throwing sports, especially hammer and discus. That's what works in bobsled.
Watch the athleticism to get in. This is not a gimme getting in these sleds and getting in with the cat-like movements. Look at the grooves the sled is in. You have to be in, settled, and down before you come out of these grooves, because then it's up to the driver to steer. Look at the runner tips here. Little skid on the exit of what they call the snake pit, the 4S curves. But she corrects. She's sitting way up in the sled, though. Look how high she is sitting up there. First time we've seen her, World Cup debut.
World Cup debut. Think of the nerves as well.
Probably won't be the last, and they're all coming. All three of these German teams are on their way to North America.
There she is. Mariama Yamanka leads in her first ever World Cup race. Mind you, she is our first sled down. Next up, Elfa Willemsen. New sled. This is the lightest that Janis Skratskins has ever built. 172 kilos. It's called Maximus. And 30-year-old Elfie starting with Sophie Verkrijsen as her brakewoman.
Okay.
Well, the queen of speed is what I describe her the last few years, but she's got this new sled. Because of the new rules in women's bobsled, it drops the weight 50 pounds. So a lot of these women in the field have spent years gaining weight, and then all of a sudden over the summer they were told they got to lose 10, 15, 20 pounds, which means Elfie had to change sleds. Her old sled, which was fast, she had to get out and get a new sled. This is a BTC sled. I don't know if it's as fast as her other sled.
She says it's not yet, but it is lighter, and so they're pushing it faster. She's got the lead now. She comes out of the Kreisel. Really nice looking run so far, and this is really where she scores. So smooth at the bottom. 10 kilometers an hour quicker than the German sled. That can't be right. 120 at the bottom. Goodness me, yeah.
72 plus miles an hour. Through and down, 50, 82. 50 hundredths off the track record.
That was a good run from Elfa Willemsen, and look at it. She's delighted with that.
She was clean. She knows. She knows when she's clean, but boy, this isn't the piece of equipment that she had last couple of seasons when she just rocked the field at every track with the best speed on the bottom. She gives up time at the start. Another track and field athlete from the field events, but watch these lines. Look at this. You're going to hit 2 or 3 times. That's normal to come through this chicane above the Kreisel. Look at her duck her head at the finish line with confidence.
Yep.
Clean.
Good looking run down the bottom as well, especially out of the Kreisel. Really, really good. And that's the secret to finding speed, and she is absolutely buzzing. Saw some stunning runs in the women's skeleton race earlier. And that's another top draw effort from Elfa Willemsen. Could she be a first-time winner? Well, Annie Schneider-Heinz of Germany, 37-year-old veteran, former Olympic champion as a brakewoman with Sandra Kyriasis. They won in Torino 2006. Her first career, though.
Look at her brakeman.
Yeah, Elana Nolten.
She's lost 14 kilos, she told me. Now, I don't know if she meant 14 pounds or 14 kilos, but still, it's a tremendous amount of weight for the athlete to lose.
Okay,
But this is the way the German athletes are going now. The coach is looking for speed above weight.
In and down, quick. I mean, you got great athlete in the front seat, 5:24. Look at her hit that bump. Ooh, she hit a hard take on in curve 1. Keep your eyes on that. That erases a lot of velocity.
Schneider's speed comes from her original career as a speed skater.
Think about it. She's losing time back.
Yeah. 1900s, and rattles all the way down the bend away. Could be down in single digits exiting the Kreisel. 3 pressures.
Real
Watch
low.
the G-forces
Real
rise.
low. Got it too. She's lost everything. So she didn't let the sled run. She had a 1500s better start time. She should be half second ahead at the bottom. She's going to be lucky to be within 15 or 20 hundredths.
116 top speed. The Belgians were 120.
Wow. Wow. I'd be, if I was Christoph Long. Look Christoph Longen. Look at those eyes. Deer in headlights right there. He's shocked. This is his veteran of his team, who hasn't really done well in the first 2 weeks.
I tell you what, Also, the sled designers at FES, they've got a lot of questions to answer coming in from the German Federation.
If they show us this through the first curve, this is a beautiful entry, great start, but in the first curve, right off the bat, she hits the take on hard and lost a lot of momentum and speed right there. So she didn't accelerate her great start. And look at the runner tips here. Watch how she plays with the runners. Bang. Now watch the runner tips. Boom. She's trying to get control. She's trying to steer away from the wall. Causes a back end skid. No speed, no result.
Schneidi in second, ahead of Jamanka, but it's Willemsen of Belgium who leads. Bit of noise now for 22-year-old Sandra Kroll, another World Cup rookie, made her debut 2 races ago. So this is her 3rd ever World Cup race. Franziska Fritz, she braked for Sandra Kyriasis in her last Olympic Games in Sochi. Still just 24, behind her 22-year-old driver. So this is one of the junior teams in the field.
Again, Franziska Fritz is a big female athlete, and she's lost weight
as well.
Sandra Kroll, she's Bavarian, knows this track. They say she gives up a lot of time at the start, but she's got great eyes and hands down this track, and if there's ever a place she's going to do it, it would be here in Königssee.
10th up.
Look at the lines.
Good exit.
Nothing like her teammate. Better speed.
Battles down the straight there. Alpha Willemsen had a better run.
Got green numbers, but remember the Belgian team was perfect down below. She's losing time back also, but not as much.
100th of a second in it. Alpha Willemsen might lead from the hometown queen. What can Sandra Kroll unlock in these bottom corners? Long skid off Ecovant. And that, I'm afraid, puts her behind the Belgians by 2
But she still beats Schneiderheinz. Look at Christoph Lange. There's no Yavo in those eyes.
200s, okay, you'll take that in a first run. 210s, then you rely on somebody else to make an error, and that's not good enough.
Boy, that Elfie Williamson is looking really good right now. There's 2 more athletes that are going to challenge her, I think. Kelly Humphreys and Jamie Grubel posed
2 race winners from the season so far, yeah.
And look at this. Look at these lines. Not bad. Not bad. Great pictures, though.
Not bad, but not
This
as
is
good
the
as
skid you
Belgians.
talked about here. Coming uphill.
Yep.
She's going uphill. Got a little bit of a twitch there. That twitch is worth a lot.
Yeah. Sandra Kroll, second. Anja Schneider-Heinz, third. Mariama Jamanka, fourth for Germany. But it is the red, black and gold of Belgium that leads. Next up, first of our 2 race winners this season. Humble and hungry, it says underneath. The sled of Jamie Grubel-Poser and Lauren Gibbs. And do you know what? That could sum up every athlete in the bobsleigh and skeleton field. Humble, because they're in a small business. And hungry, well, they're athletes. They're always hungry.
They're both Ivy Leaguers. Lauren Gibbs to Brown. Jamie Grubel at Cornell. But then
Lauren sat out last week, didn't she? She had a week on the sidelines. They raced their alternate break women, which is always a good idea.
Set.
Lauren, a big, tall athlete. Lost a few pounds herself to get to that minimum standard. Should be a great start.
Great load from her as well.
5:24. That's ties the best start that Schneider-Heinz and Nolte have. Look at the speed, exactly the same, but I think that Jamie Grubel-Poser had a better entry in a curve 1. We'll find out here. Look at her runner tips in the exit.
That's a good
little drift, a lot of drift. 4 hits, 5 hits. Speed should be knocked back a little bit into the Kreisel.
Quicker than the Belgians. 2 tenths up.
Out of 12. It's going to be close. Oh, she crashed there last year. That time the sled got airborne into the big left after the doodles, we call it.
Tied for the lead.
Doesn't have the speed.
120.7, the Belgians 120.0. It'll be 100th or 600ths behind. Wow.
American coaches, Mike Dion on the right, Brian Scheimer left. They liked it. But remember, Jamie Grubel-Poser crashed 3 times in this track last year. So I think she's happy to be down in this position. It was not a smooth ride. The exit of the snake pit or the 4S's, she had some real problems with the exit. Everything else up to that point was good. Now look at the runner tips here. Did she come down too early? Now she's in a skid. Now watch how many times she hits. 1, Drifts over here too. She hit 5 times. You're supposed to hit 3. Watch the back end of the sled here, airborne.
Yeah.
Bang, and that's...
Bounces Lauren out of the saddle there in the back seat.
Lauren's a big girl to bounce out there.
Wow, that's a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
So Jamie Grubel-Poser, 600ths off the lead. There, just in the foreground, Sherelle Garrett. She's sled dogging this weekend. She said to me, you know, after the crashes last year, she had to buy a new bed. Alpha Willemsen, the leader from Jamie Grubel-Poser, and the Germans not at the races yet. Well, next up is our debutante crew from last week. 22-year-old Austrian Katrin Beil and Carleen Slepper, her brakewoman. 10th place finish on their debut.
They look like they've just waltzed right into the fact that they're in the World Cup Tour. 5:41, not the great start. Oh, look at how big that bump is. That's like, watch that all weekend. That entry into curve 1, you can't hit the take-on like that. You got to come a little bit more to the right because you lose so much energy. And energy is speed. And you need the speed up top.
Skid. If you go ice skating, you know how you slow down and get the skate sideways on the ice.
Same here.
Yeah. Of course, when you're doing it on ice skating, you're doing it on purpose. Here, it's by accident. Trickles nicely down through the lower labyrinth.
A little late there. She's going to have to skid here. See how high she got there in the Echo Von. Third best speed, though. She's ahead a couple of the German sleds.
And tucks ahead under the cowl, 51.75.
Not bad.
This is only her second race weekend in the World Cup. She does know the track from racing in European Cup, but big smile from her.
Another young athlete.
Yeah.
World Championships in Innsbruck later on her home track. Great to see the Austrians. First time we've ever seen the Austrians with 2 female teams.
And look at the smile on her face as well. Really liven.
Here's the entry into curve 1. Boost. It's not what you want. You want to be on the right side. See all that? You just take away all your energy there and speed. Then now you're exiting here, going uphill out of the Echo Von, and she hits the wall. And boy, that's just not what you want to do on the bottom part of this track when you're going uphill, is hit the wall.
So Belgium with the lead of the race. Smile from the Austrian girls, that's really good to see. Here is the other Belgian sled. This is Anne van Nieuwhuis and Loos Hubrecht. Loos, the brakewoman, making her second ever World Cup start, her second ever bobsleigh race. So she came straight in on the back of this sled, her first race last week. Anne van Nieuwhuis, new sled for them as well, Spanky. And the lighter of the 2 drivers gets the heavier of the sleds. And last year's flying sled, Olaf, is still racing in European Cup action for Belgium.
Anne's mother's here. Talked to her yesterday. Anne crashed in practice earlier in the week. Down on the exit of Kreisel. 7th best start, which is about right. Now, see, she got into the curve a little bit better than the Austrian sled. Look at, she's already down a kilometer to the American sled. Listen to the sound.
Now that's a pretty decent run down the straight. She tapped, but she didn't skid. And in the Kreisel, keeps a nice, consistent line. See how...
This is where she had her problems in practice, though. Let's see if she gets through here.
Beautiful exit.
Oh, she tried.
Still a fraction late in the S's in the lower labyrinth.
See if she can come straight. Look at the runner tips.
Top 6 finish. Can she come up to third place?
Third
place. Here we come.
This is Elfie Williamson's sled from last year.
No. This is a new sled for her as well.
No,
51.29. No. Last year's sled, that's in the Europa Cup action.
Nice work. Okay, well, I stand corrected.
Her brother was giving me chapter and verse on the sleds last night. So Stein is in the crowd.
Well, she's
and
5th.
Loos, the brakewoman, her dad's a maths teacher. Well, he teaches 9- and 10-year-olds. He was teaching them maths, fractions, using bobsled. And there you go. That little hit there, that's a 10th.
Well, that's where she crashed in practice.
Yeah.
Watch these pictures. Airborne. Look at the sled is there, right there. not what you want. It's so fickle down there. That's why the Canadians renamed that whole area the Doodles.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Maria Constantin of Romania, like Anne van Nieuwenhuis, who we've just seen, 24 years old. Her brakewoman, Angia Greco, 21, back on the back of the sled this weekend. Last week at the home track for the Romanians in Winterberg, she was driving a two-man bobsled, or a two-woman bobsled, down as one of the forerunners. So her driving career is starting already, and this is how you develop the sport in small nations. We saw it with Belgium after the 2010 games, and we're seeing it with the Romanians. Split the team into two.
Good driving an FES Berlin sled. They're the only other person in the field that, besides Germans, driving FES sleds. 5:40, sixth best time. Look at her. Her entry into curve one wasn't that bad, wasn't violent.
Well, I can tell you that you're probably not supposed to know it yet, but this is her last race in an FES. She will move on to a quicker piece of kit after Christmas.
There's some good lines there.
Yeah.
2, 3 normal runs. Speed, not bad. 95.1 kilometers. Good lines.
Yeah, it's a smooth-looking run from Maria Constantin of Romania. Can she find a top 6 result at the bottom of the track? Half a second behind.
Looks like about 7th.
So put her in front of the Austrians. It does. 51.62.
1200ths out of the German.
Yeah, see now, ahead of her is the first of the German sleds, and 1200s is not much to be giving up in an older German sled to a more experienced German athlete.
Yeah, but she had Germans had a 700s better start too, so.
Yep.
Athleticism at the start of a bobsled track. And you know, one thing is to be a fast pusher. The other thing is to get in, get down with the movement. Now look at the drive lines. Look at the arms come up. Well coached, well disciplined there. Paul Neagu, the former Romanian pilot in the 88-92 games. Here in Kreisel, she had great lines all the way down the track. Look at the G-force pounding on the brakeman in the back.
Yeah. Feel that on your back for a couple of days. Alpha Willemsen of Belgium leads. Next up, though, is our double world and double Olympic champion, Kaylee Humphries from Canada, with 22-year-old rookie Melissa Lotholz behind her. Former sprinter from Barhead, Alberta. And new into the team, new to the sport this season.
If you want to watch how to drive a sled, I don't want to jinx her into this first curve. Watch her entry here. 520, get started. Watch her entry into the first curve. See that, how smooth that was? There was no variance, no altering of direction. Even though she's a kilometer after out of Jamie Grubel, this lady has won more events in women's bobsledding the last 5 years than anybody by a lot. Look at these lines. Speed,
really exciting.
right, flying. Well, she might take a huge half-second lead here if she gets the great line. 3,300ths, that's a lot. Well, we're seeing some great talent and maturity here out of Kaylee Humphries. She lost a little bit back. Top speed in the bottom. She got over the 3/10, 2,700ths lead. That's a lot on this track. But we all knew coming in, this was the favorite in the competition, especially with Elana Meyers not being here. Again, Elana Meyers not here because of a concussion syndrome back in the States. Hope she's resting comfortably. We're sure she's watching.
Tom Delahunty helping with the sled down there, the coach of the Canadians. Kaylee driving in goggles as ever.
Well, she posted the best start time, which is pretty, wow.
Yep, Jamie Grubel poses second quickest, 5:24. Kaylee and Melissa, 5:20.
Good job for the Canadian girls here. Good exit. But did you see how quiet her entry into curve one was? Buried, you can only see one helmet.
She's had the head shaved again. She goes for the long blonde hair on one side for the girl and short hair on the other side for the racer. Christina Hengster of Austria, 29-year-old former junior world champion, women's bobsledding. And behind her is 22-year-old Sana Decker, 2012 Youth Olympic champion, brakewoman. So these two, 2012 was a big, big season for them in their formative career. And here they are, looking for a podium for Austria.
Oh, there you go. You got to put the push bar up. So, hey, not everything's automatic here.
Yeah, clock's running, so they need to hurry up.
Good. Oh, wait. Your thing.
Uh-oh. What about the clock? What about the clock?
They have 60 seconds. You only have 30 at the start of a skeleton race.
Let's see what the clock looks down there on the right. How much time does that say? I can't see down there.
Got to beat the green light. Green light is
11
on.
seconds. They got 10 seconds to go.
They've got to beat the starting beam.
So they're off safely.
2, 1.
Oh, it said red.
Well, yeah, but it goes red when you break the start beam or when the clock runs down to 0.
Watch your entry here. Hard, violent.
So it looks like the D-rings were not suspended on bungee straps the way they should have been. The handle wasn't out. Something else maybe was going wrong in the sled.
Good exit. Only 3/10 down. Good driver. Medaled in Altenburg the first week. Driving a new BTC sled, the light blue color. She said she had a choice of this color and this color. 3/10, not bad. She was 3/10 behind entering Kreisel, only 3,300 back in the exit. Speed's decent.
Up to 4th place on the split times.
Wow.
Good run again.
This is great for the deficient start time. That's a great run.
4th run, that's really good.
Only 300ths away from Jamie Grubel. Jamie Grubel beat her by 1100ths at the start. And considering all the,
Manny Meyer there breathing a huge sigh of relief. Yeah, that could have gone horribly wrong. If breaking the focus.
Yeah. So they got down to the final seconds to take off for the start clock. Great job by our camera crew to see what that green clock was counting down to, and let's see him get in. You know, they're rushed here. This was not a rhythm. Boy, the brakeman was in before the driver.
Yeah, driver was in.
Look at, she's on the wrong side here.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at, she's way over. Now she's drifting back, and then she did not have a good exit. Kaylee Humphreys was textbook into that first run.
Oh, look
at her laugh at the bottom.
Massive panic at the bottom, at the top, but it's all good. So, first race of the season for Misha McNeil in the World Cup. They've been doing European Cup. The 22-year-old from Consett, County Durham, and 27-year-old Natalie Durat from Sheffield. Her first ever race in Team GB, and look at Durat on the back of the sled. Citius Swiss sled.
5:33. Natalie competed for the United States last year.
Misha hit that first corner hard.
Violent. 2,300s back. Now she's 3,500s back to the next clock. Look how low she is in the sled.
They might be the tiniest two athletes in the field. Nat is 5'4". I think Misha is about the same.
A medalist at the Junior Olympics in 2012 for Great Britain, and she's been on the second year on the World Cup Tour.
Silver medalist. That was in Eagles, the Youth Olympics. This year's will be in Lillehammer.
She's in bad, considering the start deficiency. Wrong line there into the Echo Von, and she's going to cost her there. Yeah, she had made a mistake up above Echo Von and had to take too much of the curve. Hit going in uphill, lost a little bit on the bottom. Probably lost a 10th on that mistake at Echo Von.
8th place for her, ahead of Mariam Yamanka of Germany and Maria Constantin. In fact, she slots in between Belgium's Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Yamanka. Just about a 10th between all. A 10th in front of her, the Belgians, 10th behind her, the Germans.
Brakeman hit, boy, there's got to be cohesion there. When the driver hits that push bar, the brakeman should also be launching. They didn't have the perfect cohesion there, which does affect their ability to explode off that start line.
Yep, there's Misha. That might have been worth a 10th probably in start time. Well, if they get once they get a little bit more rehearsed together. This is only their 3rd weekend on ice together. There's Natalie with the braids. Or the single braid, the French plait. Let's get the terminology correct. Kaylee Humphreys and Melissa Lodholtz, not much wrong with their launch, John. Fastest at the start and fastest all the way down, showing everybody a clean pair of heels.
Well, when you have the best start at the top of the track, you have the best chance for the best time at the bottom. Kaylee Humphreys won her Olympic gold medal with the best start times in 2010. She didn't have the best start times in 2014, drove to the gold medal in Sochi, and now she's back online doing what she does best. She's the best driver in the field, and when you give her the best start time, I think everybody else is going to chase her.
Alpha Willemsen leads the chase, quarter second back, few hundreds further back, Jamie Grubel-Poser, and 300s behind her, Christina Hengster, looking for another podium finish. That's all our sleds down safely. They will go in reverse order, last to fast in our second heat. And that will be coming up at 4 p.m. local time. That is 1500 Greenwich Mean Time. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, for all the action from our second and deciding heat then.